Millions of Australians have trouble sleeping, and thanks to COVID-19, that problem has only gotten worse. Preliminary results from a Monash University report say almost half of people surveyed so far reported poor sleep during the pandemic. I spoke to some experts to find out more about the impact of COVID-19, why sleep is important, and how to get a good night's sleep if you're struggling.
So pretty much everything about our lives has changed with the pandemic, and so it's totally normal to expect that sleep will change. And it'll change differently for different people. Some people are finding that they're sleeping a bit shorter because there's uncertainty. Maybe they've lost their job, or they're worrying about finances, or worrying about how they're going to do their study or exams.
Not having enough sleep can have a big impact on your health.
We know it's an important part of restoration because we know what happens if we don't sleep.
It's just as important, if not more important, than exercising and healthy diet.
And studies show that not getting enough sleep can lead to chronic health problems down the track. So what can you do if you're struggling with sleep? First up, create a daily routine. It's important to understand the relationship between sleep and our circadian rhythm, which is basically our internal body clock that cycles between sleepiness and alertness.
So it is really helpful to make sure there's some structure in the day, that you're getting up at about the same time most days, getting some movement, getting some light exposure, because that keys in our body clock and tells us, hey, this is the time to get going, and then sets up the rest of the day biologically so our body knows, okay, this is what I'm going to be doing.
An important part of that daily routine is making sure you relax before going to bed.
Things like writing down a to-do list if you're feeling quite stressed about what you have to do the next day. Mindfulness training, and there are lots of apps that you can download now on your phone for mindfulness.
That could include meditating or focusing on your breathing.
And the other thing that's really important is temperature as well. So coming into winter, it's really tempting to pile on the blankets and wear really heavy pajamas, socks, and get all snuggly when we're going to bed. But in fact, in order for our body to fall asleep quite quickly, we need to reduce our core body temperature. So we don't actually want to be too warm at night.
Look, I know you've heard it a million times before, but putting away your screens before bed is very important.
So we have cells in the back of the eye that are sensitive to light and send a signal to tell the brain essentially is it daytime versus is it nighttime, is it sunrise versus sunset. And that cues in our internal body clock. So we've got screens close to our eyes. Once the sun's gone down, biologically it can be telling our brain, hey, it's the morning. And that can really upset the body clock.
It's always better to have a bit of a buffer zone before you go to sleep, and try not to look at your phone or your screen for at least an hour or even half an hour before bed.
And finally, the most important step. If you're someone who struggles with sleep, the whole idea of getting enough can be really stressful. But experts say it's important to know that not everyone needs the same amount of sleep, and spending time and energy worrying about getting enough sleep can just make things worse.
So one of the things people get wrong about sleep is trying too hard to control it or too hard to manage it. Once you start trying harder around sleep and put more rules into place, and it just leads to getting more anxious about it and having more trouble with sleep.
This can make things especially tough when you wake up in the middle of the night.
If you find yourself, come on, I've got to get back to sleep, or getting frustrated, you've got to break that cycle, because you won't will yourself to get back to sleep. Pop the light on, sit up, or go and grab a drink, or go to the bathroom. Once you're feeling calm, then can be back to bed.
So there you have it. 5 tips from the experts on how to get a good night's sleep. As restrictions start to ease up and life begins to return to normal, it's important to remember that whether we're in the middle of a pandemic or not, sleep is a big part of our well-being. And these bits of expert advice will hopefully help you get the shut-eye that you need.